that motion is the same motion you have to go through when you're afraid.
Hello and welcome to the Garcias. I'm Pico the son, and today here with me are...
Dennis the daddy.
Grace the mommy.
And today we're going to talk about overcoming fear. So, why do people get fearful? Or why do they become afraid?
I guess it's always the threat of something, somebody, or maybe in general a force that would overcome you. And I guess there's always the threat of harm. Because even if it's an overpowering force, but it's not going to do you any harm, you're not going to be afraid of it. I guess the fear comes when you anticipate an overpowering force that's going to do you some harm.
It's a recognition na there is something greater than what you are able to fight that overcomes you. And fear is actually the looking at the smallness
Yeah.
of yourself, right? And your incapacity. Fear is always a movement towards an evaluation of self.
It's a recognition of your limitations and finding your current abilities with its limitations insufficient to face whatever challenge or task is before you.
It's like taking inventory of your own capacities, of what you have, what you're able to do to surmount a particular challenge or overcome a particular force. And seeing that external thing, that object, that force, that event, that circumstance, and saying, whatever I have now is insufficient for
Hindi kaya.
whatever that is.
Yes.
It's
Which-
not enough.
Yeah, which elicits that fear.
Yes, that's what fear is.
There's an insufficiency. What you have is not enough to supply the need.
That comes before you.
How do we overcome fear?
When we find that what we have is not enough, we look for a bigger source. If we buy something and the supply of that distributor is not enough, we go and ask, who's your main supplier?
Supplier.
So I'll go to the supplier. It's the same. If we go to a grocery and we see the items in that grocery to be very limited, we go to a supermarket. Go to a big mall and see it's always there. It's available there. It's the same with us. When we're afraid, it means our own human resources are everything that we use to overcome that obstacle. It's not enough.
Not enough.
So we go to somebody bigger. Initially, we might go to a friend who seems more knowledgeable and more experienced. But sometimes, even this more experienced friend will not be able to offer us. Even his resources, his knowledge, his experience becomes limited. And usually, we go seek someone who has far greater resources, knowledge, vision than a person. So it's always turning over or seeking the help of someone who's greater.
So our answer boils down to pray.
Kasi, hindi ba ang fear is looking at the self and finding oneself incapable? So the opposite of that should be the cure. And the opposite of that should be to look at somebody who has whatever it is that we lack. Right? I guess that's where we're at, in the spiritual plane.
Yeah.
You don't want to look at yourself.
You want to find somebody that's bigger than your fear, somebody that's greater than your needs, someone who's much more powerful than your abilities, someone who's more providing than all your material resources.
For
Okay.
me, that's very natural and instinctive, in the sense that when you see a child who is afraid, the instinct is to go to the parent.
Yes, the one bigger.
Yeah, the bigger than her or him, to calm down the child, diba?
If you remember that video that we had with prayer, di ba we go to prayer to try to understand what this great being wants for us, because we know that everything that he wants is for our good. That motion is the same motion you have to go through when you're afraid.
What you should be afraid of is to get stuck in fear.
Yes.
Afraid of
To
getting
be
stuck in
cognizant of your limitations and then
stop
just
there.
to stop there, because
Stop
that's
there.
going to lead you to desperation. That's going to lead you
Yes.
to thoughts of I'm not enough, I don't have enough, there's nothing I can do, I'm stuck in this situation, poor me,
Yeah.
Yes.
But prayer leads you out of that.
Yes. Pag nandun ka sa state na yon, actually nandun ka na sa pinto, oh.
Sa threshold.
You're at the
Andun ka sa
threshold.
threshold. You just have to transition. You just have to say, Lord, I understand na wala ako. Pero
Without you.
naiintindihan ko din that you will not allow this situation to come into my life kung hindi may plano ka for this situation. The spiritual life is really growing in that operation where little by little, drop by drop, sip by sip, you allow Him
To help you.
to help you in everything.
And we know that to be true from experience, diba? Like, for example, when you pray, He calms you down with a counter thought. Okay, for me, before we shot this video, the camera was on the table for a while and I had to get something. Immediately, I was fearful that our dog Patch would get the camera. And then I said, oh, Lord, baka makuha yung camera. And then He said, hindi, okay lang, I have you. And that calmed me down.
Mm-hmm.
Parang that's exactly what we talked about, the stocking of inventory. I was like, where I am now, which was upstairs, was insufficient for me to guard the camera.
Correct.
And that created a fear in me. But after praying, which is our solution, God came and said, no, it's okay, I have you, it's not gonna happen.
It's because when we try to analyze things on our own, we only consider our own inventory. For that example, your inventory tells you the camera is so many feet,
far.
meters away from you. You only have your two hands and your feet with you. There's a big space between you and the camera.
Yes.
There's a dog who's a lot faster than you are, can jump up the table. Your mom is so far away from the table, so even if you call her, she will not have time. You only have this much time to react.
Yeah.
All those inventory of
Factors.
resources that you have tell you you're not enough. But then again, you have missed the greatest item in your inventory.
Which is God.
Who is God?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Say bye-bye.
Okay. That concludes this episode of the Garcias. Bye.
Bye.
Don't be afraid.
Hello and welcome to the sorry. Hi, ulit. Take two.